All right, brother. Cheers.
Cheers, man. We'll try this new little Vizzy hard seltzer,
Let's see.
blueberry pomegranate. Actually, not bad. Got a little flavor to it.
Yeah.
Better than your seltzers, man. You usually get.
I mean, the all tastes the same, but this 1 gram of sugar makes a big difference
Yeah.
from
Sounds
0 to
like
1.
a-
Vizzy. Man, this actually tastes pretty good. It's still only 100 calories.
I mean, we drink ultras all the time, which is 95 calories, so damn near the
This one
same.
seems healthier.
Tastes better too.
All right, what's the date today?
June 4th, man. My brother should have been out here because, tomorrow's his birthday.
Yeah, and I was trying to launch everything by tomorrow. We'll have the site up with the forums up.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, happy birthday, Jamel.
Happy birthday, Jamel. If you're watching this, you better be, because
Yeah, you gotta
this
watch
video
this.
is technically for you. But tomorrow is the launch date, or tomorrow's the launch. It's a soft launch. Let's just get the site up so that we understand like the flow of pretty much how a customer will come in. And as I'm building it, we've already made some changes, spark up some ideas for how we're going to fund. The two things that I just, you haven't seen it yet, but I have it in the background on the screen. I have these two little images. So there's two parts to it. And anytime tell me, what your feedback is, because I know we've talked about it, and now that we're seeing it on the website, the two things would be the online tip jar, where they can get tipped directly and we pay them that money. If they had that solution, then they wouldn't really need a tip advance, right? So that's part of the solution. The other solution is maybe they do need a tip advance. They need that cash advance. The way I factored it in is a little bit different than how we had it from before. I wanted to get paid off in 3 days, 3%, paid off in 4 days, 4%, and 5 days and 5%, all the way up to 14 days and 14%. But with our strong partner, tech partner, as ChatGPT, I was kind of going through like regulations, and like computation. We're having a lot of it just kind of programmed through AI, and ChatGPT has guided our company quite a bit. Looking at the resources, having the latest ChatGPT 4.0, it searches the web for the latest information, and it's brought a lot of things to our company, but it's really made it simple, or it's simplified our whole business model. So now we're at that 10 days at 10%. I know I just threw that at you today, to you and Jamel. What was your initial thoughts, and then what are your thoughts like now that you've sat with it for a second?
I mean, sit there for a second, man. I mean, just the interest rate alone, man, like the day per day, I think you can't really beat that compared to like any other competitors in the long run, because any other competitors are going to start you off, or just loans alone is what, 7 to 10%.
I don't even know. It's all over the range.
It's all over the range. Then
Yeah.
plus, they're gonna. One thing I used to hate when I used to get loans as well too is like, you would sit there and they would literally call your company or your job. You feel a little bit embarrassed. You gotta have your 2-week paycheck stub. You really don't have to worry about that. When it comes to this, because we're literally just tracking everything. So make it easier.
That's it. And if you looked at the site, and you can pull up on your phone, it tells you the steps that we're looking for. We're not even asking for social security number. We're not asking for any of that. In fact, for the business, we're looking at the phone number, because there's a lot that ChatGPT and AI can do just by a business phone number. We can tell how long, we can pull all the information. So why would we have you go through this application process of whatever it may be, filling out the address, your manager's name? That's all stuff that is kind of for me, it's stupid, right? Those applications have always been stupid. Being in the car game and getting approved for loans, it was crazy. When I would put exactly how much I made, for example, like I remember when I was only making like $80,000 on paper, it was hard for me to get approved. They did want me to show like proof.
Yeah.
And then one day I went to a friend of mine, and I asked him how much should I show that I'm making. I have my own company, but I'm also kind of an employee. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, I can put whatever, and then I can create the documents for my own company to show that I'm making it." I was straight up honest.
Yeah.
But on paper, like, I mean, I don't know how to treat my own personal and the corporate account different because they're all pretty much the same. I write off everything. And so he was like, "Well, I don't know. Well, I mean, put something high." I'm like, "All right, what's high? 250, 300?" And he was joking around. He's like, "Put $500,000." So I put $500,000 in the application.
Yeah.
And that went to the bank, and they looked at that, and they didn't try to verify that I made that much money. I think once you put a certain amount of money, I think like they don't have that same protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that over and over and over again. Being in cars for over 8 years, I've helped everyone, all my friends, all my brothers' friends, you know, everyone get in cars. And, you know, if it came down to it, like I could show them as employees for my company, and I could factor in, you know, I cover expenses. So for example, like when I had my brother as an employee, right? Yeah, maybe he only received $3,000, $4,000 a month in cash, but we also paid for his apartment, we paid for his car, so we would just add that all up because that's what they really want to see.
Yeah.
Totally how much you can make. So tip advance, I don't want to look at any of that. I want to pull important information. I want to know the person. I want to know I want a picture of their receipt on their tips. If they're showing a receipt, and we're asking for like a recent receipt from the past week with your highest amount of tips, I just want to know that they have the ability to be able to entertain their guest or be able to identify their client or clientele and be able to pull a decent sized tip. If they get it once, I know that they can do it over and over again. And all I have to really know is how long they've been in business, and that could be something that I can ask after they've already filled out that information. For example, let me use you as a case, right? You have an excellent credit score, right? And a lot of banks would approve you just on your credit score alone, right? But if they looked at your income, it's pretty much, we have to get creative with your income, right? And that's the biggest difference with credit scores, and then also having like proof of what it may be.
Sure.
So on the site, we don't want to accept anything less than like somebody who is at low risk of being able to pay us back. And for me, it's about the credibility for their business or their skill set and who they work for. For example, like yourself, like I would want to determine what you're qualified to pay for based off of your work if you just got a job, right? You went to go work for, you still work for MGM, right? You've been working for them quite some time. But it's like, you don't have 40 hours that you put in per week.
No.
Right, but Jefferson, you know, at a certain level, you're not the highest level, but you've been there. And understanding the industry, I think that has credibility.
Yeah.
And then you have other ways and means of being able to make money and pay your bills. You've never been late. But I don't even really want to know if you've been late on a payment. Because if I determine a loan for that, then it's like, how do I really know what the risk is? I want to know potentially if you were infused with this money, like, can you pay me for the future? And your history doesn't always have to repeat, right? Especially during the pandemic, a lot of people didn't pay their bills. They were in a financial issue. A situation that doesn't identify who they are moving forward. So I think banks are having a hard time really determining the risk factor for their loans, and that's part of the reason why interest rates are high. Higher interest rates are offered to higher risk people,
Correct.
Which the math doesn't make sense. Like, okay, you have a 500 credit score, so now you're paying 18 to 23% subprime on a $12,000, $13,000 car, while someone with, excellent credit score has 0%, 0.9%, 1.9, and they're driving a lot higher value car for pretty much the same payment.
Yeah.
The banks are charging a higher interest. It's that default rate. So that's our real thing, is we don't want that default rate. So we've done everything from like researching, utilizing AI to figuring out what that percentage is. That 10%, we wanted to go from 3 to 14. And we're also raising money for a debt fund as well. We're not giving up any equity in the company. We are looking for a merger or an acquisition as high as $50 million next year. And this year, all I really want to do is get this process going and getting loans out there. Getting a nice solid sponsor, whoever that may be. I thought it might be a alcohol company, but more and more we think about it, the more and more we put it out there, it could be so many different types of brands.
It could be anything, actually. I'm thinking it's actually a bank, to be honest with you.
It could be a bank, it could be an outside lender, it could be Credit One, it could be a lot of banks, it could be a lot of people. We are hyper-focused here in Vegas, and I looked up the number. There's about 60,000 people in this industry. And at the very least, for gaming bar, or for gaming bartenders, like, I think it's like 15,000. But if you really wanted to count, for example, somebody who's directly there, a soft, very low number, very conservative, at the very least is 3,000.
Yeah.
Even if we just did 10 loans every single day, right, cash advance loans, we would cover that 3,000 in about a year. And right now what we're doing, and this is going to change, but out the gates, I want to do just $1,000 cash advances. What do you think about that? Because I know that's kind of something I've thrown out there, but...
I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, $1,000 I think is probably a good start, man, but I think a lot of the industry is going to probably just start off as like, 100, 200, maybe 500, just to test the waters out to see if it actually works in the long run. But yeah, $1,000 is definitely the ideal because pretty much that's what technically I would say the average bartender probably make a week. I would say it depends, like $250 in 4 days. Just depends on even 5 days you get $1,000. So let's say $200 a day. I think that's about the average tip for bartenders and cocktail servers, I would say. So it makes.
That's what I figured. That's what I've experienced, and so that's why I wanted to get your feedback. But really, it was a mathematical equation. My target person that I want to attract, if we did 100 loans in the next let's say 10 to 15 days, right? I want to target someone who either they're making 100,000 or they have potential to making 100,000. And I typed it in ChatGPT once again, and I looked at and it references websites where it takes its information, its data, and they're saying up to 5% of someone's yearly, right? And so 5%, and that's why I shot you over that graph. That 5% of 100,000 is $5,000. $5,000. 1%, which is the lowest percent, we can't go anything lower than 1%. We're not doing 0.5%, right? Is $1,000. And that's why I wanted to tier it up. The first one that you do with us, I'm gonna assume that you're a $100,000 person, and that this was only 1%. But let's say you're only $50,000 for whatever reason. You got hurt part time, whatever it may be. But 50,000, that's still what, 2%, or is that double? Whatever that may be. I showed you the graph, so it's like it's still not that much in the percentage. We never go above 5% on the deal. But the reason why I chose $1,000 is because I want someone using us because they really need to use us.
Yeah.
$200, $300, that might be too soft, it might not be a commitment. I also want to start establishing a relationship with that person who is potentially making 6 figures a year in the industry. Now, of course, as we start doing these loans, we can start offering a lower entry level, $500, $300.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I wanted to capture the type of clientele that would tell other people about this deal. I factored in also mortgages and loans. Maybe you don't have an issue paying your mortgage or your rent, right? Maybe you just you need $500, $800. $1,000 really made a difference, and all you're waiting for is that next cycle in that paycheck. And so for the 10 days, I wanted to keep it within the 2-week period. Maybe you got paid every 3 weeks or every 4 weeks. So I know the biggest difference with getting paid within 10 days was because the normal cycle, and correct me if I'm wrong, is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are there people that get paid every single week out here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get paid every single week, but no, the 14 days makes sense because it's pretty much like every cycle of the paycheck as well. So it makes sense.
So I wanted to stay within the cycle.
Correct.
Because in 14 days, you technically, they might choose another week to pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're definitely on the edge on that point.
Yeah, and here's the deal: $1,000. If you want to take the terms, there's no other fees, and 10% is $100. So you pay back $1,100. So throughout our process, you're gonna get this $1,000, and you're gonna get it real quick. But when you get it real quick, in 10 days, we can easily set up an ACH payment or a deduction. But usually, what I want to do was set up by credit card or debit card. And that's a cost to us at the 3% or up to 3% on the credit card transaction. But I wanted to make it real easy for someone to use us and leverage out because they just needed that money. And ultimately, we want to build that relationship because we want to provide them with financial support for purchasing a car, right? We want them to look at us for financial support to purchasing a house. And these are the products on the back end that we want to go ahead and facilitate towards other investors or lending partners. So that when we have lending partners, they know what type of clients that are coming in. Just think about our investors or lending partners, funding partners. If we told them that our target right now, we did already, let's say, $1 million. We're our third month, I'm expecting we'll do close to over $3 to $4 million in cash advance loans. Imagine if our client profile were the people who were making $100,000 a year, right? They've been undervalued by the banks, right? Because most of their money, if they look on it as far as their hourly, it doesn't look like they're making $100,000 per year. That's the target market that I want just right now. I'm not saying that we're not going to have that next year, but I think that if out of the 15,000 bartenders that are behind in gaming and behind gaming, right? Because that is kind of where I'm looking at initially. And I want to take the top-down step down that Tesla did, right? They didn't come out with their $30,000 car, $36,000 car. He promised that eventually we'll get to you. Eventually we'll get to you. And that's the Tesla Model 3, right? But he went with a $150,000 car and a $120,000 car. He wanted to make sure that he could provide value, create an infrastructure, create a company based off of that higher level. And so that's what ultimately what I want to do too, is by the time we get to the 200, 300, hopefully we're not looking at making that much money off of the lower level. Because it should be opposite. I think it should be opposite. If you have a hard time paying and you're only making, let's say, $40,000 a year, why are you paying banks more for the money? You pay more for the money, and you need less money, and you're paying more for it, 18 to 23%. So definitely you don't want to have like a predatory loan or be classified. So that's why I'm also looking at, all right, let's target the people who definitely can afford that 10% and who just need that $1,000 for whatever reason. It's just something quick. I want us to be memorable. Be like tip advance. Oh, I got advance my tip. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So that they open up our emails, they see our advertisements, and so when we start, remarketing and talking about, refinance your vehicle, don't pay the 11%, 8% on your next BMW. Let's get you at 3%.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much
get
it.
a little point of it too. And a lot of people don't know that, a lot of people that, that's making like around $60,000, $70,000 a year, they're not thinking that they're actually making about $100,000 a year. A lot of people out there make a lot of tips, and a lot of people tend to gamble a lot. If you actually calculate, and put your numbers down, a lot of people out here are actually making way more than they expect. Because some people actually, you're bringing home $1,000 every paycheck, not knowing you're bringing home probably $2,000 worth of tips sometimes. You just never know. So
I've seen it. I couldn't believe it either, and it took me. I've almost been here 3 years, and it was really hard to understand until, you put me in that position and you identified. I didn't even know it was happening around me.
Yeah.
I went with people like JT. I don't know how much he's putting in that machine. I'm not even paying attention. I couldn't imagine how much money he's putting in there.
And there's a lot of people out there in the industry, bartenders, cocktail servers, bar back, anybody's dealing with tips. They love going to the bar. Mm-hmm. They love sticking all their tips in. Sometimes, you have maybe $300 worth of tips. You put it in there just to get 3 bills. Sometimes, 3 bills don't come out that machine. You might come out with $200, because People love to gamble, Keno, blackjack, poker. So that's what you guys got to do, guys. You got to kind of slow down with the gambling. If you guys really want to get to this loaning process, it'll make it much easier without the gambling.
It is, but it's a part of life out here. You know, when I talk to other people, you know, they put the money in, and you know, somehow they have good months, they have bad months. Some people have good years and they have bad years. I just couldn't believe sometimes when I'm hearing like people can lose, you know, $30,000-$40,000 one year and be okay because one year they made whatever $180,000.
Yeah.
And to hear these stories, I'm going, are these real stories? But it's not like something that they brag about or they talk about. This is real stuff that they're telling me. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. And for them to be able to stop, for example, I know when I first met you, I remember you gambling. I haven't really seen you gamble for the past year plus. You're playing on the machines, but I don't see you dumping, you know, hundreds of dollars in there trying to make back $1,000, which we've seen.
No, yeah, like, you know, I'm one of those simple guys. You know, sit at the bar, get a couple of drinks, couple of shots. You know, off a 20. You know, but you know, I play Keno, caveman Keno, try to hit the lotto at that point. But at the same time, you know, when you're drinking that many beers, you're drinking that many shots, and you got 20 in there, the bartender already know that, you know, you're not playing enough, but the bartender know that you're a regular customer, you're going to take care of him if he hits or if I hits, you know, and before you leave, you got to make sure you get tipped, you know, or you tip your bartenders. Yeah. It's $20, $10 to $20, especially to take care of you at the bar.
And you taught me that, and you know, to see that again, those are the type of clientele that we want. That's a client profile that we're looking for, that we want to assist financially with Tip Advance. On the other end of it, looking for investors, you know, 10% is not gonna make an investor rich, but at the same time, it's pretty modest.
Yeah.
Right? After all fees, they can net a 7% on their money. It'd be really easy. It's a whole lot easier to find investors to invest into a debt fund like Tip Advance. Our cash advance model, our cash advance instrument will be powered by very creative funding, from credit card funding at a high level to also investors who are only looking at making that 7%. So our investors, anybody into our fund, we're not looking for some greedy people who are telling them that they could make 20, 30, 100%, 200% on their money, which is what I've been hearing lately, because that's what everybody wants to listen to. They want to hear someone. I've been in meetings just recently where they want to hear 200, 300% return. I'm like, for one, we're not selling any equity in the company. We're selling a debt fund, and it's pretty straightforward from the very start from our website. When we go to our website, that's our product. That's what we're doing. The other source of revenue that we'll be generating from is by sponsorships. So all we're doing is turning the sponsorship money and a lot of the funding that's going on, especially here in Vegas, and turning it right back into exposure to the actual industry. I think that they already have the solution to get to tourism, right? Bud Light or any one of these brands, they don't need anybody's help to get into the public, the general public. Tip Advance can be a way for them to be able to market and target the industry.
Yeah.
And again, going back to our clientele, if our industry are six-figure potential earners, right, or en route to getting there, that's their path. That's the type of eyeballs that we're trying to create. And again, that's going back to why I want to do $1,000. Because if you need money, then hopefully you need $1,000 because it made a big difference. Paying $300, needing $200, $300 is almost, you can almost get that anywhere, right? Technically, kinda. But $1,000 is a little bit harder. And $1,000 out here in Vegas, I mean, you used to be able to pay your rent. In some cases, you used to be able to pay 2 months of rent.
Used to.
Yeah, used to. But right now, at least that makes a big dent, right, into what you need for whatever it may be. It also can take care of a lot of the car payment. Back in the day, car payments were like 200, 300. I'm not talking about too long ago. But now, I've heard of people driving around just regular cars almost paying $1,000.
Yeah.
Forerunner. That's $1,000 payment? I was paying $1,000 for my Corvette.
It's getting sick, man. At this point,
Yeah, it's
man.
getting
Interest rates is
nasty.
going up, going down. You just never know where it's going to land, bro. We're definitely in a bad situation right now as far as like interest rate, but it's tend to go down right now. But they're not going to beat our interest rate in the long run, and that's literally the reason we created this little tip advance program for our industry crew. We want to make sure we want to take care of every single last one of us. You know what I mean? Just because we're really focusing on Vegas.
That's it.
Vegas and our locals for sure. Locals in Vegas literally run circles around this town and actually keep it going. We want to kind of, I won't say reward you guys, but
It's rewarding.
getting the better half of like the money, interest, car loans, house loans. It should be easy as soon as we get this thing going, man.
They have there's a lot of companies out there, organizations trying to provide education, financial education. And you can hear someone talk about it, but honestly, you need a product, you need an instrument, you need a vehicle in order to be able that you qualify for. You need a company to make a difference. I could tell you that you should be paying, your mortgage twice a month, and pay towards principal. You could be doing that for your car as well, and then you'll save yourself a bunch of interest, and the net outcome is tremendous. I can tell you that every single week, and I give you the education, but will you do it? A lot of people mostly won't. It's based off of patterns and everything else. Why? Because it's not like you're being recommended or you have a way to be able to automatically do that with your bank or your lender. And so that's what I wanted to change. I wanted to figure out, all right, let's not be greedy. Let's not earn all this crazy interest, cash advance, high risk. We're not checking your credit report. We're not calling up the restaurant manager, verifying that you work there, how long you've worked there for. We're not doing any of that.
Yeah, and that's the embarrassing part about it too, man. Like when I used to do that, like I said, calling a job and stuff like that, and they have to try to confirm that if I actually worked there. Yeah, it was more of an embarrassment.
That's what I mean.
For cash loan, and you get screwed with the cash loan. Like Dollar Loan Center and stuff like that. So,
which is advertising big.
That's pretty big right now.
That's probably a company that I wouldn't sell to.
No.
So here's the deal. I do want to sell. I do want to exit this company after $50 million. And the only reason why I want to do that is because of one reason. I really want to focus on Vegas. And the only reason why someone would pay $50 million for a company is because we've solved an issue. Of course, we didn't solve it overnight, but they see that we have a solution, and that this model can be taken anywhere in the world, not just this country. It can be taken anywhere. But for us, we want to stay in Vegas. We want to focus in Vegas, and we want to make sure that this program is perfect for Vegas. And that we don't take outside representation, meaning, however they differ, to change what that is. So 60,000 workers, we're starting off with a small sector. Our goal is to get to 3,000 as fast as we possibly can, 3,000 people that we've helped. Yes, we're going after gaming bartenders specifically, and the whole reason is because that's where I've experienced the situation. So I know that what we are providing and the stories that I can provide and the definition of, or the reason of why I do things is based off of a real relationship. I can't speak on experience because I haven't been in the industry, and you've been doing it for a lot longer. So we can trickle it down, but initially I know what I've seen and experienced, and that's all I can really kind of play to. So when I design certain things. But what do you think about the direction of where we're going? In a couple of days here, I've switched, or just today I've switched a bunch of stuff. Like, I think I've talked about $1,000, right? Because I saw the campaign, I was like, I don't know if we were talking about one day when we were drinking, but I had it on my list,
Yeah.
right? And because for me, I mean, that would make a difference to me. I would remember that if someone helped me out with $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, because when you get that, it's literally almost like a paycheck to another person,
Yeah.
Because people need cash advance, tip advance, just because sometimes if you have to wait 2-3 days just for because your monthly rent is fucking right around the corner, you'll get charged like $100-$200, man, just because you're late.
Oh, late fees, yeah.
As far as late fees,
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
The cost of being late,
the cost of being late,
or the cost of having bad timing.
Yeah, and a lot of people sometimes, man, they don't even, I mean, they know they have to pay the beginning of the month, but sometimes you have so much shit going on. People might get drunk, people might just be working too much. People might think they already paid it, not even realizing it.
Well, let me bring up something that might be a little bit touchy, but that's something real that I was around and I kind of saw both sides of it. What about when your company, the restaurant, doesn't pay you what you're owed?
Yeah, I was in a scenario like that myself, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say the company name,
right. But to come to realize that happens quite often was crazy to me.
It happens to a lot of failing restaurants, out here, bars as well too. Just certain scenarios. Maybe it might be the company, it might be just the owner itself.
But honestly, if that didn't happen to you, I don't think that we would have Tip Advance, because that was an identified problem that I also saw on another side.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think we actually worked on this before this event actually happened.
It was, but it was like I kind of already, because I saw that with the other restaurant.
Yeah.
I won't mention that restaurant either, where they're having a hard time and they still owe their people, during the transition. And it was like, wow, this is money that they earned.
Yeah.
And maybe they might have paid you on the hourly because they didn't want to go to jail, but to withhold your tips.
Tips.
That's
and
crazy.
Hourly.
And hourly.
And hourly.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, let's put this forward. There's a lot of times where you take money out of your pocket because you're supposed to get reimbursed, right? It's almost like you're a business.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're a reseller. You take your money to go buy what product, you know what I mean? And you put that money in. And I couldn't believe how high that bill goes up. I was thinking a couple $100. But to know it's thousands of dollars, bro, that's crazy to me. That someone is so committed behind the bar to making sure that their customers are taken care of, that they want to go $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on what? Hoping that the owner will pay them on their next paycheck? That's insane to me.
Yeah.
So that's also a big part of why this is listen, Mike, I want to help you out, but I don't really know how to change the game. We could just change a few things by providing financial support and not be greedy and charge you such crazy interest. I mean, what do you really think? Like 10%? I know we talked about 5 to 7%. And for me, like, I wish that made sense, right? But the math didn't make sense to me at the 5% to 7%. Why? Because we'd be using investors, and we're not looking at returning investors' money at 15, 20, 25%. I definitely don't want to be known as a subprime type of predatory loan company, a loan shark. So I thought that 10% was enticing enough for investors, right? But it also stayed away from greed.
Yeah.
Right.
We literally gotta put them in the spot just because we don't want them to be greedy at all. So yeah, 10% is definitely it, man.
All right, cheers on 10% then.
Cheers on busy, baby.
Janelle agreed to 10%. He agreed right away.
Yeah, man. When it's a working product and ready to launch out, man, you can't go wrong with it.
So here's the deal, like a $5 million advertiser sponsor, which I think was within our inner circle. Didn't realize it till today, which is kind of crazy. and I didn't realize it until like actually putting it up on the website and going back and forth. Thinking about the numbers and really what it means, because now we're going to be putting it out there. We got cards. We're getting, we know how to put 20 to 30 people to the site per day.
Yeah.
I factored that if we did 160 people to the site every single day, we'd probably be doing at the very least 8 to 10 loans, cash advances per
Oh
day.
yeah, that's pretty easy. I mean, just because we go to one bar and literally there's 3 bartenders there. They can spread that around pretty easy. Bartenders are like the key guys in Vegas. Cocktail servers, we're like pretty much. You asking something, we'll give you an answer. You know what I mean? We definitely
100%.
know. We know areas, location, and what you really need out here. We're the guys. To be honest with you, out here in Vegas.
Well, I'll be honest with you, that's what kept me here in Vegas. Coming from California, I had the opportunity to go move to quite a few places, and I was thinking about Texas, Florida, Colorado, and Vegas won. And I'll tell you what won me. This is before I met you. It was the gaming bars that I go to, and I didn't smoke cigarettes. I didn't even vape.
Yeah.
So I literally sat at these gaming bars, right? Not gambling, not smoking, just drinking beers. I'm not going there to do a happy hour. I didn't even know when happy hour was until you start working there. But that's what kept me there, because I had an office out in Henderson, and I lived over in Blue Diamond, and I get off work at about 11, and I'd hit the gym, or 10, hit the gym. Gym closed at about 12, and what happens at 12? I'm over at the bar.
Yeah.
I met some great people, but the bartender, Tressa, if you're ever watching this video, she made me feel like a local.
And that's what a lot of the industry guys, that's why we're so good about having regular comebacks, customers, regular tourist customers come back in. When you talk to your customers, man, you gotta make them feel good. I mean, that's your job anyway. It's pretty easy. Give them what they want, but also have a little conversation with them. Get to know them just a little bit. Like for me, I know a lot of people out there, and I have no clue what the hell their name is, but I know what they drink, and I probably know where the hell they're from, and I probably know a little bit of a history of their family, because just one simple conversation.
That's where we are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely get to know your customers, man, because they will come back. And that's the reason we also created Tip Advance as well too. Finding the industry for bartenders. Finding your favorite bartender. That's one way to find out what day they're in, what day they're off. If they're on call, you're gonna know that now, that they're gonna have their own personal schedule. Same with any other industry that we want to get added on to Tip Advance. That's the very biggest perk too.
Yep.
And that's gonna bring the most money, especially being a bartender in this industry. You're gonna probably make 5 times more money than what you have now, just by downloading this app.
It's actually not a download. I made it entirely web-based.
Web-based, my bad.
Yeah.
Let he is the tech.
Yeah.
He is the man when it comes to that. But it's gonna bring money to the table.
Well, here's-
100%.
Let me drop some real talk. A big part of the reason why I wanted to develop this whole thing was just so that we had a little bit of flow coming in. We can go hang out, and we had something else that we could just do to promote just a little bit of money. Honestly, if this thing only made us together $2,000 per month, we'd still be doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So it was supposed to be a small thing. It's supposed to be just something I wanted to contribute. The reason why I wanted to contribute was you were the same type of bartender, that industry person that I experienced with the ones that made me feel at home here. Tressa, I met a lot of friends, a lot of locals, because she okayed me. Sitting there in the middle of the night at 2:30, you see that there's females coming in there, and they feel safe. They feel safe because they know the bartender.
Yeah.
And she did the same thing that you did to me at one point. she asked me to, oh, here's my friend, go sit next to her. You're sitting over here, go sit over here. I mean, you still do that, right? Like, but she did that from real life. I mean, it wasn't like the first time I sat down. I mean, I was going there maybe 4 or 5 times, like, but she verified who I was. It was like validation, right? It was just like, all right, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know like what his credit score is. I don't know, if he's a sex offender or he's a criminal, but he's cool. And it's like I feel like it takes a certain type of bartender, somebody in the industry, to be able to identify that.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that was cool. And like these people, a lot of people, I came down here to Vegas super single, and I got to meet some real like people, real females, because of the bartender. And it wasn't just her. There was a few. There's a handful of people, and I was just like, how do I give back? How do I give back? I don't know the industry, but I do know tech, and I never wanted to get back into tech, actually, to be honest with you. I was doing cars, I love cars. I didn't want to get back into tech, but I was like, this is easy. We could do something simple, and then it became a little bit harder, and then I tried to simplify it again, and then it became a little bit bigger, and now I'm looking at selling this business for $50 million next year.
Yeah, just getting bigger and bigger, man.
It's getting huge. I mean, like,
and one thing we're trying to do is like we're always trying to look, we're always bar hopping. We're trying to figure out if we need to add something else to the company.
Exactly.
And I think every week we can almost literally add something to the company, like to kind of improve it in the long run.
And we're trying.
We don't know all the negative part about tip advance, but I would say if we gave it to like 100 people, I would say at least 95% of it. I would probably say even 100% of it, they would literally agree to this company, as far as like finding bartenders, the car, the home loans,
Yep.
the low interest rate. I mean,
Startup loans. Funding.
Startup loans, yeah. Because like if you end up trying to do anything like that, man, like I hear, the bank's gonna bust your ass, man. So
They won't even be available to you.
And 9 times out of 10, if you're a little baller, they're not gonna fucking even look at your damn shit in the long run.
No.
They're gonna probably be like, come back, wait till you get a certain amount of money, wait till your credit score get a little better. But banks will definitely push you to the side. That's why a lot of people get, beat up cars, but actually making good money.
I've seen it.
There's people out there can make their car payment in one day and still get denied, which is crazy too.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. I think like my credit score is over leveraged, and I'm probably at like maybe 670, 680. And I'll disclose this. And if you're watching this video, like this is a benefit of watching this video somehow. You're only watching this video because you're in this circle somehow. Right? So this is meant for investors, partners, collaborators, and that nature. In fact, the people that we need to watch this haven't even already watched it. So your credit score is 800 plus.
So, last time I checked it was 810, buying a car.
But I told you the other day or a couple weeks ago, I was like, I've never seen 800, right? Yeah. But at the same time, like, I think if we both went to so for example, if we went to a Cadillac dealership, right? He likes Cadillacs, I love Cadillacs. When I first met him, he had a Cadillac. And if we went to Cadillac, our approach to getting approved is different. His credit score gets in through the door. Mine, they have to really look at my credit score, right? Or they have to look at my credit history.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of want Tip Advance to really be, is we want that credibility for our people. We want to make sure that you look the way you need to look. So when we supply these loans or this funding, it may or may not be part of the funding that we create, or the instruments. We will have partners, funding partners, and those funding partners are probably the same people who denied you. Let me give a prime example. This is for my older brother. If he's watching, he'll eventually watch this. He loves watching just videos. My older brother went to go buy a Jeep, right? And he went to a Jeep dealership in Costa Mesa or Huntington Beach, a big one, where I purchased multiple Jeeps. And I brought my little brother there, and he had an excellent credit score. And he's always had it. He's like you. Actually, that's another similarity that you guys have. And so he was going to a wedding or something, and he's like, I only have like 30 minutes. And I was like, I need 20, you know? And so he came down. My older brother was already there, being picky, figuring out which one to buy, figuring out, he wanted a lifted one.
Yeah.
My brother hits me up. My little brother hits me up. He goes, "You have it already lined up?" I was like, "Yeah, but you just need to pick a color or just pick one of these nice ones." And he's like, "Can you just pick it for me?" We're talking about a $60,000-$70,000 investment. My little brother's going, "Can you just pick one for me?" Of course, my Jeep was sick, so he already appreciated that. And of course, he's my little brother. So I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, if you want me to pick, I want to pick the most expensive vehicle over here lifted that you won't be sad because you didn't pick the best one.
Yeah.
Like there's not a second one, right? And so because it was a better one, and so he goes, all right. I mean, can you just make sure, like, it's literally like we're running out of time. I just want to come down there and like get out of there. And that's exactly what happened. My older brother, keep in mind that I have connections there now. I bought cars there. I referred out to people. My older brother picked out the one that he could afford. It wasn't as much as my little brother's. It wasn't as much as mine. And Capital One was the bank. He got approved, but they wanted to put down like $9,000, and they wanted to bring down the value of the car a little bit. And so it almost like he had to walk off the lot stock.
Mm.
So my brother and I, we have lifted, tires included, like all the bells and whistles that actually we don't even care about, like, but my older brother did. And he drives now, a 400, and that's part of the reason. But he was so destroyed because he didn't get the same deal. My little brother, he walked in there with no money down, and he literally just walked off the lot with this like brand new Jeep, fully loaded. And so that destroyed my older brother. And so I felt bad. And so I knew the person who tried to approve the loan. I just couldn't, the dealership didn't have the same relationship with Capital One and that department or that person that I knew that my other friend did over at Chevy.
Mm.
So my brother was always looking at a Chevy Tahoe. And I'm like, Chevy Tahoe is more money and it's nicer. And he's like, I've always wanted a Chevy Tahoe, but I'll never get approved. I'm like, let's do this. At this point, I've already had a couple drinks because it's been a whole day event. I go, let's go down to Chevy tonight. He's already destroyed. Disproved. He has put $9,000. He almost did. He almost put $9,000 of his own money as a down payment. I'm like, don't do that, right? And so I was like, and the interest rate wasn't even that great. I'm like, let's go get that Tahoe. He goes, I don't want to go get destroyed again. I'm like, I'm gonna make sure that you get a Capital One, whatever, auto financing, do the same guy, but because of this relationship, the way they structured the loan, and it's gonna be a lower interest rate, and it's gonna be a higher value car, your same credit score and who you are, same address, same everything, you'll be able to walk off the lot. Sound like a plan? And so that relationship that we built, that I built with that dealership, that's exactly what happened. We were literally there for like an hour. It went to his head. Obviously, he wanted to buy a Suburban, which he ended up doing like 6 months later. It went to his head and bought a couple Corvettes. But that's what I'm talking about for Tippin Man. It really is about that relationship. And we were messing around. I was messing around one day, and like we came up with this trust fund, right? And honestly, that's really what it should come down to, is like that trust. We'll provide the fund, but you have to know that it is based off of that trust. We trust what you do based on, because you should trust us that we know that we're building based off of the industry.
Yeah.
And that's all entire him. So it's like, the fund is not based off your credit score.
Yeah. Based off your income, your tips, your
Your
personality,
potential,
yeah.
And also, it could be as simple as a site check, right? A site check for a bank. They come down, they see, oh yeah, you have these employees, you have X amount. Our site check is, him coming down, making sure that you do have that relationship with your customers and that you can identify your environment and how to extract money and provide excellence or value towards your clientele. That's it.
And a lot of people already know how to do that. Just a lot of people don't even know they have it in them. You know what I mean?
That's another part. Yeah.
So, but no, if you've been in the game for at least 5 years, I would say no, even at least 1 year minimum. You know, behind the bar or any kind of industry, you can kind of have a little taste or feel of it in the long run. And the longer you stay with the industry, I'd say about 5 years, you should already know by now. Even though like you or he claims that he's not like industry in the long run, but he goes to he bar hops all the time. He goes to nightclub. He goes to strip clubs. He is considered an industry guy, but he claimed that he's not an industry guy. But I'm telling him he is.
Well, I've never been able to identify a lot of things that you pointed out in the past 2 years. And, I feel like, experiencing like my brother's kind of at that same level, but, he was also a great customer. My older brother is a great customer. But there's that certain level once your income like relies on that outcome of excellence, like and that experience. Like I don't think too many people understand that part of it. Like we have people. I know people. I've seen people in the industry. Like I don't think even in 10 years that they'll really understand that, right? Like.
No.
And to identify it is one thing. So I feel like you almost have to go through it, try out, and almost kind of be on both sides, right? But even on both sides, there's somebody that I was hanging out with, and she was not part of the industry for that long. But she was a good tipper, and she's on the outside of it. But there's a lot of things that were missing that I could see like she needed 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so I saw all angles from it. I just couldn't believe. I'm like, man, that's hard work. That's hard work. I mean, a doctor could be taught how to cut into, a pineapple or whatever they cut into monkeys, whatever. But not until they actually do it is like when they really understand what it is, and when they mess up, and then when they're successful. So I think it's pretty crazy because I've also known bartenders and people in the industry in LA. Orange County, San Diego, and it's not the same here in Vegas. It's not the same.
Man, and that's the reason, we created that company here, man. It's like, where else could you start?
Oh, yeah.
There's nowhere. If you had to pick one gambling joint in the United States, guess what it's going to be? Vegas. And why not start it here, the heart of the core. And the thing about it is, giving out these car loans, finding your bartender. I think doing the home loans, bro. I think as soon as we do the home loans and no one ever give them this low interest rate, I think we're gonna have these customers instead of the friends. They're gonna look at us more like family, bro.
And that's all.
Because we're literally take care of buying this house, buying a car. We're almost like a big brother to them, a big brother, big sister to them.
It's just crazy how small this town is, right? It's like I told you, like your cousin came out, and I didn't think it was gonna be anything. So I went out in my shorts, and like I looked like I just got out of the gym or about to go to the gym. Luckily, I was wearing a nice salmon pink shirt that made me stand out, where everybody was dressed like they're going to a Tao group like club, and I went to that club, and it was just like I got to see people that I know that I've seen multiple times. It's like, wow, this is such a big town, but small town.
Yeah.
And like there's other people that I saw. I saw those 2 rich guys. The Indian guy and whatever the Persian guy, and it's like, got to connect with them on a different level, but it's like, I got to start seeing them at a different bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you run into the same people, and I've run into that guy multiple times. And the way the conversation went, and the way it was like we were friends since high school.
Yeah.
And
that's the one thing about Vegas, man. That you can literally meet one, like I said, if I met you a year ago and I would never met you again, like what people in Vegas is like. It's like they can remember people in Vegas.
Yeah.
I could talk to you a year from now, at a bar, and I can see you at another bar. You be like, yo, I know this guy.
Yeah.
Just say what's up, man. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, this guy be like, yo, I met you about a year ago, right? Like, one guy might not remember until you give him that key word. Be like, yeah, we met at PT.
Yeah.
We got fucked up or something, or you hit that jackpot or something. It's just you just never know who you can run into. It ain't what you know, is who you know as well too in Vegas. Just because by knowing one bartender, you think that he might not know a lot of shit.
Yep.
Sit down with him for about an hour,
That's
ask
it.
him questions, and I guarantee you'll go to at least a couple of spots that he would highly recommend.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, coming from Orange County, California, one thing I kind of got sick of as soon as I saw the contrast was everyone I knew dressed like, everyone looked the same. Everyone who hung out together looked the same, acted the same, ate the same, everything was the same, right? And I didn't know that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came down here to Vegas. And I will say out here in Vegas, I mean, one of the guys that, I was hanging out with quite a bit was a guy who I thought was super racist. I still think he's kind of racist, but it was like, he's one of the guy who went to Thailand, the old man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, he ended up becoming like one of the guys who I loved hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
The age difference, we had nothing in common, but it was so fun. And I realized that I'm starting to find people like that. It's like, and it's crazy how we come into a place, we come to a bar, and it doesn't matter what style you have of what clothes you wear, what music you listen to, what car you drove up in. We can literally connect and hang out, and it almost feels like we went to high school together at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And the other person might not even be drinking. It might be just a bartender hanging out because they see so many different things that they become really good at connecting when they're good at connecting. If they can't connect, then they're just an order taker. They might as well work at In-N-Out taking orders, right? And a lot of them are like that, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Just taking orders, whatever. And hopefully we can, our company is not known as just a company that's in Vegas because there's a lot of money coming in Vegas. Hopefully it's known as a company that is from Vegas, right? And it's built from Vegas. We're going to make a bunch of mistakes, but know that we also are going to solve a lot of problems because we made the mistakes with the people in mind.
Right.
What it resulted to. And small things like this 10% for 10 days on cash advance. That's what it is now. I'm on the investor side, so I'm looking at how to raise $5 million tomorrow to be able to supply 8 to 10 loans per day. But I will say that at the end of the day, we've structured this company where he is in the industry and he makes the final decision whether or not it's 7%, 10%. Or we go back to 3 to 14, ultimately that's not my decision. That's somebody who relies on the industry because that's who we're servicing. That's who we're building this thing for. So it's not up to me. I just put it out there. I'm very convincing, damn good salesperson, but it's going to be based off of the feedback that we have once it goes into play. We just want to make sure that when we get out the gates, that we can have enough money coming in that can go out. Because without money coming in, there ain't no money coming out.
Yeah.
So.
And if you guys are watching this, anybody in the industry, please, one thing you guys got to do is literally just spread the word, man. People need car loans, house loan, even, tip advance. Everybody always want the cash advance, tip advance type of scenario.
And we're going to have these shirts available where you can have your own custom QR code, tipadvance.com/your name. So we don't have a Josh, we don't have a Kyle, you could be the first Kyle. Because after the first Kyle, it's going to be Kyle in the last name, Kyle in the first initial, whatever it may be. And the reason why you want that is because every shirt is going to have a dedicated page to every single bartender, server, everybody in the industry. They're going to have a tip advance and a QR code that they can scan that someone can go over there and easily tip you.
Yeah.
Or see your promotion, whatever it is. We're going to expand that. That's going to be so dynamic. We're going to try some cool shit. with that, but you're gonna have real estate and something that we're building, and it's gonna be our benefit too. It's gonna be to our benefit also because even though we might be driving 150 to 160 people to the site with our efforts, every single individual is going to be the reason why word of mouth is going to be the strongest part of the reason why we scale and become big in Vegas. And 60,000 people, 160 people, I think we're going to get to 12, 15, 25% of that to 15,000. I think it might take us a couple of years, but through referrals, we get to 60,000 plus, and it's going to grow faster because of the way this market's coming. California is coming here.
Yeah.
And you definitely want a company strong enough to be able to figure out how California is, because it's going to be a hybrid. And that's the thing about Vegas. It's already been a hybrid. So for all of you who's hating people who's coming into California because they're raising the housing prices, I'm going to tell you, it's kind of a good thing too. And he knows that because he has a house. And, I've never heard him talk shit about Californians coming in, because the more Californian neighbors that he has, the higher the value of his home goes up.
The value of the home goes up, and the more traffic that comes to Vegas.
That's all it is.
But
they're spending money somewhere.
Yeah.
Why not here?
Go ahead and get your home loans before they all come out this motherfucker, man.
Oh, and I'm gonna add that too. Like, the funds that we're creating is for the initial tip advance, the cash advance, because that's our bread and butter. That's our flagship, and then to build out the technology and everything else. But the vehicle loans, the home loans, the mortgages, that's all through like a lot of partnerships that we'll be creating, and it's not just from like creative financing or specific private equity or private debt firms or super rich investors. It's going to be from the same banks that we potentially might be able to penetrate and have them identify you in a different way, right? Just like how Capital One, that's why I shared the story with my brother, as I represented a relationship that was different than the one that I was at, and because of that relationship, I was able to get a better rate and a more expensive car. And so that's what tip advance is going to be. It's that leverage, and it's, there's a lot of people going out there and providing financial education, but really what it is, it comes down to relationships. That's it. Like you said, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, so you get to know all these folks out here in Vegas, all your customers, your clients. Yeah.
But this video has gone way too long, so let's wrap it up, and hopefully you stayed to the end. If you did, trust me when I do say this, that this company will sell for $50 million. The only reason why I wouldn't is because he says no and wants to sell for $100 million, which might take us another year.
Hey, I might have to wait another year.
Cheers.
Man.